Let's take a look at the mock draft that you did after the Elijah Moore trade. Again, this is Jared Mueller's mock draft from Dogs by Nature. Take us through the two third-round picks you think the Browns might be looking at least in this mock draft.
Yeah, so again, there's some really great simulators that really help us with our process now, especially with the Browns not having a pick until number 74. It's hard to guess what the other 73 would be. The simulators really help. This one I use Pro Football Network, very helpful simulator. So Jack Campbell, not sure he's going to be here, but linebackers don't tend to get the value that maybe they should at this point in time. So he's a player I think could be a long-term fit next to JOK. I think he's someone who can learn from Anthony Walker. They don't really have that player, right? Everybody they brought back this year or signed at the linebacker position is a one-year deal. Outside of Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, pretty much the rest of the linebacker group is going someplace next year or needs to be re-signed. So Jack Campbell gives you that leader, someone who could step in pretty quickly if you needed him to, gives you some depth. If Taki can't play right away, returning from his injury last year, I think he'd be a steal in the third round. I also think Keanu Benton would be a steal for the team as well. We have him listed as a defensive tackle just for generic language. He's really more of a nose tackle, a 0 or a 1 technique. This is a player who is going to take up 2 blocks. He's going to take it up with his size and strength. He can anchor against the run, but he's also able to press the pocket. And when you have a Myles Garrett and you have 007 coming off the other side, you, especially in the wide 9, you need someone who's going to kind of create chaos in the middle of that pocket for the quarterback. And so for me, Benton, he's a player that I would have looked at with that second-round pick or in a small trade down. But just given the fact he is really probably more likely to be a kind of 2-down player, first and second down, I think you can get him here in the third round. And all of a sudden, you have that player that's going to be there for years to come next to Dalvin Tomlinson. Him and Perion Winfrey can kind of work together a little bit. I think it's just a really, really good fit for what the Browns have done so far, continuing to beef up that defensive line that, again, doesn't have a lot outside of Winfrey, doesn't have a lot of real young players that we believe they're going to develop over the last few drafts.
Let's take a look at, again, 2 picks in the fourth round. And, again, you go on the defense side of the ball. Take us through what you were thinking here.
Yeah, Will McDonald's a real light player. Again, another player that I'm not sure. He's a little bit older and he's a little bit lighter. So when you're looking at kind of trying to get an idea of where a player is going to be drafted, if you have some exceptions, and I don't mean the good exceptions, a little bit of an older player and a little bit lighter, that means he might fall more than you might think. And so people might know the name of Will McDonald from Iowa State, a really nice pass rusher. But again, he's not a player who you're likely to see kind of that second round grade on just based on his age and some of kind of his physical traits. But in the wide 9 scheme is a player who can get after the quarterback. So you move Myles Garrett inside, and all of a sudden you have this speed rusher coming off the end who I think can make a lot of noise. Again, when you move a Benton off the field, move Garrett inside. The real kind of star for me is the second, fourth round pick. A guy I got to spend about 20 minutes with at the podium at the Combine. Kei'Trel Clark is a player that I believe Browns fans are going to fall in love with. Loves watching UFC, loves kind of the battle that it takes, and is a slot corner. Like, this is a guy that he talks about having a chip on his shoulder, talks about his size, talks about how he was under-recruited. He just makes plays. He was one of the best cornerbacks at the Shrine Bowl. He is going to fight for every single situation. Kind of like Elijah Moore said, I'm going to give you my heart and soul. Kei'Trel Clark has put his heart and soul on the field at Louisville. He's a player that he's my guy. Like, if there's one guy in this draft that I'm going to get on the table for, it is Kei'Trel Clark.